thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Married to Medicine. This is season 9. I want to say episode 11, possibly 12. Y'all already know I be struggling with these numbers. But this episode to me was just a filler. Like, there were good moments. There were definitely positive moments, but it wasn't like explosions that we're used to, but it still was a good episode. So let's get to it, y'all. So the episode begins where it left off, where everyone is at Blue Ridge. We're at the house that the ladies in Real Housewives of Atlanta were at, and everyone's chowing down on Eugene's food. Everyone's enjoying the lasagna. No one's really speaking. People making slick comments about how good it is. Heavenly says she'd be fat if she was married to Eugene, and they're all just having a good time. Heavenly asks Anila, well, how are you doing? Anila is visibly distraught. She's just talking about how, like, her home wasn't her home anymore and that she feels targeted, as well as she was like, does anybody at this table think that we had anything to do with it? And everyone's like, why would you say that? And she was like, well, when the last time we spoke, it felt like I was being interrogated. And so Toya says her infamous words, like, I don't know. Like, she was like, I don't know you. Like, I'm sorry that happened to you, but I don't know what you would do. No good well, she know this lady. She was trying to act like Mariah Carey to the BS, the way Mariah does J-Lo. And Neela's like, Toya, like, you do know me. You really think I would do something like this? And Toya's whole thing is like, girl, I didn't think you would bring somebody who's been spreading a rumor about me cheating on my husband to a party to blast me, but hey, clearly I don't know you. So Anila's like, I'm willing to take a polygraph test. And then Quad chimes in and says, I'm willing to take a polygraph test as well. So Simone is like, ooh, excuse me, that was horrible. I am so sorry. Excuse me. Simone was like, oh, I'll, what Simone say? Oh, Simone was like, why do you need to take a polygraph test? And is it that serious that we need to take one? And she's like, well, I just want to prove that I ain't have nothing to do with it. But then in the confessional, Quad is like, I'll take a polygraph test. I bet you Toya won't take no polygraph test. Like, I bet you she'll try everything to, like, get out of it. Check that tease. And I'm like, Quad, this is not looking good for you. Like I said, for the most part, I like everybody on Married to Medicine, but I think at this point, Quad is pushing this narrative that doesn't need to be pushed, because it's like, you could have your suspicions and think like, oh, maybe a friend would have done that to Anila, but the truth of the matter is you don't have proof. So to constantly say it over and over in your confessionals, and it makes you look bad. Like, even if Heavenly and Anila were in cahoots and stuff like that with this whole situation, you look bad because Heavenly ain't really said nothing about it. Heavenly ain't never in her confessional on this show. She may have said something on her YouTube channels, but on this show that majority of people watch compared to the YouTube, nobody, she hasn't said it at all. She made that one little comment where she was in her closet when they were getting ready to go to Blue Ridge, where she was like, oh, you think Toya would have did it? And it was more so like, girl, for real, you really think she would have did that? Anila and Kieran haven't came out their mouths and said that. They kind of insinuated it, but they haven't verbatim said, oh, we think Toya and Eugene tried to rob us. But Quad has done that multiple times. And I think the issue is, and I don't think maybe Quad knows now, but I don't think she understands that even people that don't like Toya are starting not to like you based off of what you're doing in this moment. Because it's like, why are you trying to push this? And it's mainly because Quad is petty and she like to hold a grudge. Quad has never gotten over the fact that since season 1, Toya ain't seen it for her. They kind of got cool, but then, you know, Toya be slick with the mouth and says some slick things, and that hurt Quad. Then the whole like BS apartment really bothered Quad, because I'm like, as much as y'all like to say Toya, Toya ain't got a pot to piss in, her words stung so much that Quad was so ready to go get a McMansion, a mini little mansion, and it's like, it's only you and sometimes your nephew, because I also found that out that the nephew doesn't really all together live with Quad, allegedly. People been saying on the streets on the internet streets, allegedly, that the mom and the son actually, like the little boy Mason, actually lives with his mom more than he lives with Quad. It seems like Mason was loaned to Quad for a storyline. But it's like only two people live in that big house with Quad, her mom and her. So it's like Quad is doing all of this while it's simultaneously proving that everything that Mariah said about her previous seasons were right. And I told y'all, I ain't see it from Mariah. But Mariah did say Quad was a fraud. She did say Quad liked to make up lies about people. And she did say Quad liked to sleep with married men. Now, we don't know about the married men aspect, but this is the second time that someone has mentioned that you would be sleeping with married men. As well as this is the second time for Quad, or no, the third time for Quad, for pushing rumors and narratives on people that she don't like. You did this with Mariah. You said she was doing that what's it called, the Miley Cyrus, as well as you said that she was sponsoring blogs to write derogatory information about you. So it's like the things that lady said about you could we don't know if it's all the way true, but it's looking like it's true. You know what I mean? So Toya is getting annoyed at the table. Her and Quad go back and forth. Quad told Toya underneath her breath, "Oh, I like to see you walk up on me." And I'm looking at Quad like, girl, the situation didn't call for this aggression. Like, chill out, Quad. Chill out. And Toya kind of just was like, girl, whatever. So then you see everybody kind of break free. The men go down to the basement to play pool. I thought it was a funny scene. It was Cecil and Martin against each other. Martin won and Cecil had to do push-ups outside in the cold. And clearly it was cold because it started snowing. And what's it called? Yeah, because it started snowing, but they had a good time. The guys normally have a good time. The women moved to the den area. We then see Scott and Contessa come. Anila kind of feels some type of way because Toya and Simone put on their jackets to go greet Scott and Contessa out at the car and hugging up on them. Eugene even saw like dap them up and stuff like that. And we found out that they got lost and was stressed riding through, snow and going through them winding roads and stuff like that. But Anila felt some type of way because when Anila walked in, the people that were happy to see Anila greeted her, but Anila was just like, oh, okay, so y'all could go outside for her, but y'all couldn't go outside for me. And I said, clearly they couldn't. But I also don't feel like they didn't go outside just because it wasn't Anila. By the time Anila and Kieran got there, they were all like getting food ready. So the women are sitting in the den and Jackie basically told them they not gonna have fun until they solve their issues. And I'm not gonna lie, I screamed when Quad was like, how you gonna tell these grown people that we can't have fun until we get these issues solved? And then when Toya was like, girl, Jackie don't go to church, because even at church, they praise and worship. And then we get to the real stuff. I don't know why both those comments tickled me, because it is like, how you gonna tell grown people they can't have fun? As well as I'm with Toya, like they do praise and worship before they get into the sermon. I was like, Jackie, I don't think Jackie would be a horrible teacher. She'd be a horrible teacher because it would just be like, oh, she coming in here with all of this. She coming in here doing the most and I can't take her. I can't take her. But they all sit down and they're talking about having a good time and like mending friendships. Like they're like, this retreat is to mend friendships, to put, reinvigorate these relationships. And then Toya was like, we're not going to have a fun time. No, because Quad said, well, clearly everyone is here. We've all been fighting, but we're still here. It's good. And then Toya said something to the effect like, girl, we not good because someone tried to fight me basically. And Toya gets real rah-rah because, like I said, if Toya want to set it off, she'll set it off. And Toya's like, I want to know why Audra felt the need to chest bump me. Like, what was the reason? It was like, and Simone had to tell Toya, like, calm down. Like, you got to let her respond. And Audra speaks up, and Audra says, well, I feel like you have been coming at me this whole time, and it's been very much unwarranted. Like, I came into this group trying to build friendships with everybody, and I just feel like you came at me, and it was unwarranted. And she has a point. Audra has a point. Like, I still feel like she took the whole "you're not a good lawyer" comment too personal, because at the table I felt like Toya was just being cheeky, because Audra was just trying to prove the point that, like, what's her name? Jackie didn't have to drink if she didn't want to drink. I don't think Toya meant it in malice, and Audra just took it that way. And then to the comments about the clothes, Toya don't need to be making the comments about anybody's clothes, because she is nobody's fashionista or no, like, go-to for inspiration for fashion. So I got that comment, but I think things just kept piling on each other. And then you got Quad and Heavenly probably poking and like stirring the pot with Audra, that she felt the need to like come out the gate and come at Toya, because the situation where Audra read down Toya's like tax lien information on her home, it wasn't needed. That was like a read you hold in your arsenal, like for the reunion or when Toya really is getting at you. But like the best way Audra could have came back at Toya could have been like, you know, when they were arguing about the labels, all Audra had to be like, well, I don't focus on labels, but for someone like you to be focusing on labels and there's supposedly 7 liens on your house, that says a lot about you compared to me. Like, you know, I'm not a label girl. I like to be debt free. You know, there was a different way Audra could have handled that situation, but I think because she got revved up, that was her response, you know? And so then Toya starts crying. She brings up the fight that she had season 1 with Mariah, where she was just like, that was like one of the worst moments of my life. I had just had my son. He wasn't even 1 yet. And, you know, me and Eugene just got married, and here I am fighting this lady in my ball gown. And here I am questioning who I am as a woman, who I am as a mom, as a wife, and I didn't want people to look at me like I wasn't good enough for Eugene. And she started crying. And I felt like that was a big of Toya, because it's like most of the women here rag on Toya all the time, and Toya does it back. But it's like for you to be vulnerable in front of people that you really don't trust, but you wanted to make amends with Audra, I'll give Toya a point, because she did say sorry. I know some people felt like her sorry wasn't good enough, but she did say, you know, I was wrong. Toya legit said, you know, the comments I made, I was wrong. And if the part that messed Toya up is saying, if I did that, she shouldn't have said if. It just should have been like, the comments I made was wrong. And the fact that you felt like you had to go this far to defend yourself against me to where it had to get physical, I apologize. And you could have moved on. But the if always messes you up in an apology, because there is no if. You did wrong. But Audra accepts it, and it was a sweet moment. I thought it was a sweet moment. And honestly, throughout this whole entire episode, I was like, okay, I actually kind of like Audra. I like Audra when she's not around Heavenly or Quad, because she does seem like she would be cool to kick it with. And her and Martin do bring a kind of like a youthfulness to the group, because they are in their early 30s. I think Audra is like 31 or 32. I don't know how old Martin is, but Martin is probably like still in his 30s as well. So they bring a little spice to the group. And I think in this moment, I was like, okay, I like Audra. Like, she seems pretty cool. I just think that like there were points in the season where she just got wound up too tightly, and then when she exploded, it just came off weird, because it was like it wasn't needed. Because the thing in Las Vegas, you checked Toya already, and then you checked Toya already at the dinner. There was no need for you to do what you did at Quad's party. Like, it felt like someone put a battery in her back. And the night, or this portion, ends with Dr. Jackie trying to facilitate mediation between Heavenly and Contessa, and Contessa putting a stop to it, where she's like, we don't really need to do that. We good where we at. Like, I just got here. I want to eat, lay down, and sleep. Like, we don't got to do that. Like, I think we should have fun first and then jump into that, which I'm with Contessa. Like, and with Simone said, Jackie, just take this win. Yeah, take one win and progress further. So let's move on to the next episode. Next, what is it called? Next scene. Right, y'all. So it's the next day, and Jackie has done some excursion for booked an excursion for the guys. They going bowling, and it was a fun scene. We find out that the end score was 286 to 358. So Martin, Curtis, and Kieran were on a team, and they had the 282, and then the 358 was Cecil, Scott, and Eugene was out here bowling. He said he got a ball, like, his own shoes and a bowling ball at the house. But they had a good time at the bowling alley. They were eating wings, and then they had a sit down where they talked about the robbery. And Cecil brought it up, and Cecil do be producing scenes, but I give Cecil credit because they don't be coming off really producery, but I see you, Cecil. And Cecil is like, how are you, like, basically saying that, like, the whole robbery thing, like, we've been hearing that you kind of been, like, saying that y'all was targeted. Like, what's that about? And Eugene even said to Kieran, like, I feel bad that happened to you, but I've been hearing my name in the mix, like me and Toya, like we would ever rob y'all like that. And like, what's up with that? And Kieran's like, no, I have never like explicitly said that y'all robbed us. And he was like, and even if I felt like y'all robbed us, if I felt that way, I wouldn't be hanging out with you guys. He was like, and Eugene acknowledges that. He said, yeah, I haven't heard that y'all said it specifically, but I have heard rumors that supposedly like we were the ones that did it. And he's like, no, we never said that. And he was like, I don't know. He said, when we're in the mix with the women, things aren't as bad. It's like everyone's kind of on their best behavior. But when we go away, that's when they turn into monsters. I said, not monsters. He's like, they thinking like monsters. I don't know. He didn't even say women. They thinking like monsters. And then they all just kind of were like, yeah, like we should probably help steer them in the right direction. Then Moly Mo, Curtis jumped in, and Curtis was like, no. Curtis was like, you don't want to stir the pot when the pot don't need to be stirred. If they aren't at that point, then we don't need to do nothing. Let them come to that themselves. Like, we don't need to do none of that. And I was like, true. I was with Curtis. Like, don't make it worse. Like, if they're good, then let them be good. If they gonna fight, let them fight and duke it out, and then y'all come, to mediate the situation, unless it goes way too far left. But it was a nice scene. Like, it's cool that the guys actually get along. Like, it doesn't seem forced. It's like they all do have a good time together. Like, I hate bowling. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, when I tell you my parents, they from the South, and bowling was their pastime growing up. So my daddy is like Eugene, got his own bowling ball, got his own shoes, and he don't even put his hands in the holes. He cuffs the ball like this and barrels it, strikes every time. And he finds it disrespectful when me and my sister be like, can we put the bumpers up? Bumpers? Get out there and bowl. That's my daddy's energy. And my mama's energy. She the same way. Get out. She bumpers. What is that? We don't bump. Roll that ball. So, it was just a nice scene. Them little wings that they got were small. But for some reason, bowling alley food is actually like really good, which is crazy. It is. It's like, if you ever get a hamburger from a bowling alley, the fries be so crisp and with the right amount of salt on them. And the burger be good too. I don't know what it is. It's kind of like eating at Waffle House. Although I don't be eating at, like, Waffle House is not my go-to breakfast unless it's like 2:00 in the morning and I'm out with my peoples drinking. But for some reason it just hit so good. But while the guys have their moment, we see Toya and Anila have this moment. And they're sitting down. Audra's at the table. Audra's facial expressions are funny. She was head nodding the whole time, like, I was like, I don't know. Like, I feel like if I wouldn't have started, like, if her and Toya wouldn't have that moment where they put their feelings on the table and they accepted each other's apology, I would have been like really annoyed and perturbed by her. But at this moment, I just found it comical because she was like, I was like, Audra, stop. Stop with the head nod. But Toya and Anila and Audra are sitting at the dining room table and they're talking. And Anila's like, you really think that, like, I would rob myself? And Toya's just like, girl, I don't know you. She was like, Toya, how did we get to this point? And Toya's like, well, girl, you brung, I think the lady's name like Zahir or Zaria or something like that. Zara. I'm gonna call the lady Zara. She was like, you brung Zara there. And Anila's like, girl, no. She said, I didn't know Zara was coming until I got a phone call from her saying that Quad invited her to come. So then we came together. But she was like, I ain't tell her to come. She's like, girl, I've been set up. Anila's face was like, girl, I got set up. Like, Anila's like, I'm trying to clear her name. And this is why I think Quad is going to have like a hard time season 10, is because everyone's like looking at Quad like girl, you're the one. You got Karen saying that, Karen and Eugene confirming that they never Karen and Anila never specifically said Toya and Eugene's name. And then you got Anila saying like, no, girl, she invited her there. And this is what we got. And you got Toya saying that's common Quad. That's what Quad like to do. That's Quad games. I said, girl. But then there was a scene where Anila's like, you need to help me out. Like, and the girl Zara saying, what do I need to do? Tell me. She was like, tell the rumor. But in context, I don't know where that was. Maybe it was because, oh, you know what? I feel like that might have been after Toya said, which one of y'all said it? I'll take my shoe off and put it in your face. And Anila's like, I didn't say nothing. Zara's sitting there like she didn't say nothing. I think Anila was saying like, own up to it. Like, you need to own up and say that you were the one spreading this rumor about this lady sleeping with a married man. Like, she's married and out here having an affair. And then Toya's like, you know, I did watch your house. Like, when like all of this was going on, I was watching your house. I was like, dang, the lights is off when I was passing your house. I was like wondering where y'all were at. And then Anila was like, you really like, basically Toya saying like, we were kind of concerned, like we didn't see y'all at the home because we passed your home. And it made Anila like feel some type of way where she was like, I wish someone would have, like, you would have told me this, because that would have changed everything. Like, the fact that you still like care about me, because it seems like Anila still want to be friends with Toya, and Toya slick want to be friends with Anila. And I feel like Anila will jump ship with Quad and Heavenly to be friends with Toya. Because it doesn't, like, the beef that they had wasn't that, like, serious like that. But I think, and I give Toya a point when Toya was like, Anila, there's been so many times I'm going to let you have a pass, like, you're being naive and stupid when it comes to Quad. Like, if you're being used, you know you're being used. Like, you're not stupid like that. And it's true. So, but I really do think, like, Anila and Toya might actually be cool season 10. And Quad might be up the paddle. You know, what's the saying? Up the creek without a paddle. I think that's the saying. Up the creek without a paddle. But let's move on to this spa day that these ladies are going to have while the boys are bowling. So before they got to the spa day, why did Toya break a vase and then going to be like, well, this is why you stay at a hotel? Girl, I know you're clumsy. But we see that Damon got there. They're having a spa day. The ladies are getting like wraps and massages, and then they're going to get like foot massages. We had some homoerotic moment between Contessa, Dr. Jackie, and Toya when she was getting her foot rubbed. And I was like, Contessa be doing too much. She do too much. But they were all like laughing and giggling about it. She was also talking about a happy ending when the lady was like rubbing her, like, you know, massaging her stomach. And it was funny. They all had like a good time. The men show up. I don't know why. I thought it was so cute that all the girls were in their like robes and stuff, and all the, like, you know, the men were sitting beside them and everybody was like all up on their man. I don't know why I thought that was so cute. Like, all of them look so cute with their little boyfriends. Well, not husbands. You see Martin go directly to Audra, put a chair up while she getting a massage and talking to her. I thought that was cute. Simone was all hugged up on Cecil with her head on his shoulder, and I was like, oh my God. Like, I don't know why. Even when Jackie was rubbing Molly Mo's hand, like, it was just so like, I was like, oh my God, this is cute. Just, you know, old people in love. I love to see it. It was just cute. And so they go up, they end up having dinner. The chef lady cooked down. Like, that food all sounded good. It looked good. And they're sitting down at the table. They started talking to, like, get on the subject about how Eugene won bowling and how he beat everyone's, because Eugene did have the highest score. I think his score was like 155. And they were like, Eugene, Kieran was like, Eugene, tell us why you won bowling. And he was saying that it's because Toya didn't give him none last night. But then Toya chimes in, but we got it on this morning, so we're good to go. So everyone's laughing at the table. And then Eugene is talking about how Toya thinks she's such a freak, but she not. And then Eugene talks about how he done did the do in like the student lounge, in an office, in a lab. And Toya's like, well, why do I get boring D then if you doing all of that freaky stuff? And Eugene's like, girl, that was during college, okay? And then Kieran chimes in and he was like, you'll do certain things with somebody you don't ever think you're going to meet again because, you know, it's fun. It's like spontaneous. And I was just like, okay. Fun and spontaneous. I said, don't be out here like that, Kieran, and cheating and stuff. And Anila in the confession was like, I'm not fun with you. Like, I'm not, like, exciting or something. And he was like, not with that voice. I said, okay. I was like, wow. But, they're all just laughing at the table and having a good time and just be like, you know, everyone's talking about it. Simone's like, you know, you do the girlfriend things to become the wife. And once you're the wife, you ain't got to do the girlfriend things anymore. And Cecil's like, what? But it was fun. Everyone was eating dinner at the table, having a good time, just having a fun time. And then that's honestly where the episode ends because they're going to have like, I think like a sex therapist or a sex coach come the next episode to teach them how to do new moves and stuff. And they all seem excited. But it looked like next episode about to be a mess because you got Jackie almost crying in the bed saying, I thought we were doing good. And I was like, oh, what happened, girl? What happened? But yeah, y'all, that's where it ended. I just thought about the fight between Toya and Mariah. I ain't gonna lie, that's one of my favorite reality fights. I know reality, we're not supposed to be doing all the fighting. But Miss Lucy hitting Toya in the head with her purse while Toya was getting, because Toya was working Mariah. Toya was really working Mariah. But I will never forget that lady hitting that girl in the head with her clutch, trying to get her off her daughter. That was a fight. That was a fight. And I remember being so shocked when I first saw that season when they got into it, because I was like, oh crap, they really in here throwing hands. And you got to a nah, bitch. Nah. Oh, that was a good fight. But yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. Remember to be bravely authentic and drop down in them comments below. Deuces.